So, Dr. Vanita, why did you decide to land on skin? What was it about skin? I mean, you went to medical school, you wanted to, physiology, you study pharmacology. I mean, all of the things. What is it about the skin that fascinated you?
It was more than just skin, to be honest, Karen. It was skin of color. So for me, I was in a very fortunate position. My parents owned a cosmetic company. So after medical school, I got asked a lot about, Vanita, I've got hyperpigmentation. What do I do? And I started researching this, Karen. I realized every single treatment that I could find at the time for hyperpigmentation could burn skin of color and lead to more hyperpigmentation. And this didn't make any sense to me until I started understanding how this all came about. A lot of Western medicine the clinical trials were done on Caucasian skin. And so you didn't really see the adverse effects on skin of color. And I was very fortunate. My parents owned a laboratory, and I went in and did an apprenticeship with their cosmetic formulator to try and figure out a treatment for hyperpigmentation for skin of color that didn't burn our skin. And I did that. I had I had 4 clinics actually for 8 years. And during COVID, I had to close the clinics multiple times to the point I just thought, I'm going to shut it for good and I'm going to focus on how I can help people globally. And so I went onto social media. We grew really fast. I think in the space of a couple of years, we grew to over 1.6 million followers across my
Wow.
platforms, specifically on skin of color. So it was a very niche topic that I teach on. And the fact it grew so big made me realize actually there was a huge demand for it. Then HarperCollins gave me an amazing book deal. They really back skin of color, and I'm so grateful to them for doing that. They put, a lot behind this book.
It's beautiful,
Um,
by the way. It's a beautiful
oh,
book.
thank you so much. Yeah, just to educate and empower my skin of color family. And then I just started creating products for skin of color that didn't exist. So if a product already existed, then I would just talk about it on my YouTube channel and say, go and buy it. But if it didn't exist and we needed it, then I'm in a fortunate position that I can go and formulate it. So
Thanks,
I'm very
parents with the
lucky.
laboratory. Uh,
Yeah.
Dr. Vanita, so when we talk about hyperpigmentation, you're talking about dark spots. You're talking about an oh and so I'm even hesitating on a language because the majority of the people on this globe, on this earth, are people with melanin.
Yeah,
Most people, we are the global
correct.
majority. We have melanin. Melanin
It's
is
5/7 of
natural.
the world's population.
They all, because melanin is natural. That's the natural.
Yeah,
That's normal to have melanin.
yeah,
To not have
yeah.
melanin is not normal. That needs to be part of the conversation when we start talking about dermatology and we start talking about all the hyperpigmentation. Tells me that's a condition that's not normal, but most people have
Ah,
more
okay. Oh,
melanin.
yeah. Let me
So tell
explain it.
me
I
that
think
what
there's
what
a
is the yes?
what's
Talk to
the
me.
definition of it. Okay, so when there's any form of, for example, sun damage to the skin, when UV rays, radiation has penetrated, say, the skin on the face and leads to dark marks, we start to look at that and think they're cute freckles. When that's sun damage, that's a warning sign that we haven't protected our skin enough, and direct sunlight is damaging our skin. And this is why we say sunscreen is so important in skin of color as well. Have you heard the myth that we've got we've got melanin skin, you don't need to wear sunscreen? But melanin only gives you an SPF of 7. And so it's so low, you can't even buy an SPF of 7. There's no sunscreen with SPF 7. We need SPF 50. We need maximum protection because for us, our melanocytes are very easily triggered. I always say one scratch, one bite, or one burn, and we hyperpigment. Our
Mm-hmm.
skin is very reactive. And this means that we have to be a lot more careful with our skin. We can't just willy-nilly burn it. We can't willy-nilly, just try TikTok trends on it and expect there not to be repercussions. We do need to understand our skin, and our skin just needs a lot of love. We have to be gentle with our skin, but we also have to use active ingredients that work for us.
All
So
right,
it's all
let's
about,
I'm
yeah,
sorry because
sorry.
no, there is this notion that we can't get skin cancer, which Black folk, people with melanin, get skin cancer. We get skin cancer. We can get skin cancer. Uh, However, is it that the environment has so deteriorated? Because again, melanin is a reaction to the sun. So people on the continent of Africa closer to the equator have darker skin because that is a reaction to the sun over
It's evolution.
generations,
Correct. Yeah.
evolution, right? So we've evolved to even the way our hair, not yours,
Yeah.
but our my hair, reaches to the sun. Even that is a reaction to the sun. So now you're telling me SPF 50. Okay, help me understand that in my mind, because
It's a
for
really good
my
question.
entirety of life it's like, all right, yeah, we are like this because the sun and our, we are in community with the sun. It's okay to be in
Okay.
the sun.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Be natural and, just go with your genes. I understand where you're coming from. And you're actually in the vast majority. So it's my job then. So for me, I'm just going to explain what is happening to your skin and my skin in the sun. What happens is when UV hits our skin, there is UVA rays and UVB rays. There are two types of rays. UVA rays age your skin, and UVB rays burn your skin. Now, for Caucasians, they burn very quickly. So they get blisters, they go red very quickly. For skin of color, we tan quickly. That's the actual definition of skin of color, is how quickly are you more likely to tan or burn in the sun? So that's the first question. So we don't really burn in the sun. But then that also makes us a little bit complacent in that we think, okay, so we don't burn, we just tan. And so this is all natural. But the other problems that's invisible that we don't know is going on is UVA rays hitting our skin. That damages our collagen and triggers our melanocytes. And so in my clinic, I used to see a lot of women coming into their late 30s, early 40s, that started getting hyperpigmentation, started to amalgamate. So they start off as cute freckles and they form a patch and then they spread across the face. And this is very common in Africa. And this is when, these skin lightening creams, people start overusing these skin lightening creams. Part of it is that they're trying, some of them, I know there's cultural issues, but one of the reasons some of them might go for that is because of melasma and it's not being treated correctly. So this is why I want to educate on melasma. Melasma is hyperpigmentation from sun damage. It's not tanning. Tanning is a different thing altogether.
As you're there's so much here, and I wonder culturally, Dr. Vanita, if we can have this conversation, because skin bleaching in China, skin bleaching in Korea, skin bleaching on the continent of Africa is a
And
multi-billion
India.
dollar business,
And
right? So you're
India.
telling me
Yeah.
in India, right? So you're telling me that it's just because I'm having dark spots? No,
No,
I
no, 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 no,
feel.
no.
No, I'm
You're
saying
right.
I think the preponderance of skin bleaching is because Europeans have made European the standard of beauty. And as a result, the entire world is walking in lockstep to want to be quote unquote beautiful. So beauty is white skin. White skin is beautiful. So the closer proximity I have to white skin makes me beautiful, and I want to be beautiful. And it
Yeah, that's
has
the
turned into.
rhetoric across India as well. It's the same, the whole fair and lovely thing, and it's a mass market. I'm not talking about that. And this is where the confusion happens, but this is also quite dangerous, because if people start lumping in hyperpigmentation from sun damage with colorism and trying to be white, then we get into a situation where we're now not educating ourselves, because we think it's all the same thing. It's not. There's nuance in this. One is damage to the skin that we want to prevent for us and for our children. And the other is a toxic culture that has led to a lot of misery. I mean, we've all been subjected to it, whether it's the Bollywood stars, whereas, Hollywood stars. I'm part. I totally understand where you're coming from, but that also made it quite hard for me to explain. When we're treating hyperpigmentation, that is damage from chickenpox, is damage from acne that's led dark marks. That is a very different thing to bleaching the face.
Right. And I appreciate first of all that you do know what you're talking about. And it is important that we have, because I don't know if a lot of dermatologists who don't look like you understand the difference, right? Or what
Yeah,
is happening. So in those skin bleaching creams that are so readily available actually do more damage than even if you have
absolutely.
medically,
Yeah,
a medical condition called hyperpigmentation,
correct.
you're actually doing more damage using that. So if
Absolutely. I
I,
had a clinic in South Africa actually, and I remember one girl came in to see me, and she'd look grey. It was, and I asked her what she'd been doing to her face, and she'd managed to get hold of a cream with mercury and hydroquinone in it, and was using it. And this is a young girl who had a mum on one side and her father on the other side. And I explained just how dangerous this was, and not just for her face, but for her organs. And once you stop using it, you don't know the situation you're going to be left in. It could destroy your skin barrier for life. And so I explained this, but honestly, it didn't. I know it didn't sink in. I know she carried on and she didn't listen to me. And she's not the only one. Many people are not going to listen. But I think we can't just stop teaching on hyperpigmentation because some people are getting the wrong end of the stick. Do you know what I mean? I think I've got a bigger responsibility to ensure that I protect the skin of my global skin of color family so that we have healthy skin, so that we grow old with beautiful healthy skin, and we can feel confident in our children's skincare. My son's 5 years old and he has a skincare routine. I want all our babies with skincare routines.
oh, let's get into it,
So
because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on hyperpigmentation other than Dr. Vanita. Dr. Vanita is here. Her book is Skin Revolution, and other than what to do. Okay, I have maybe some freckles. You can't really see them. My skin is awesome. No, I'm just saying my pores are
I
tight.
love that
But
confidence.
and I have a skin routine. So when you start to see freckles, what you go to your dermatologist, and what do you say to them?
Before you do that, you don't need to go and spend a whole lot of money. First of all, the fact that you've even noticed that these spots are happening means that you're paying attention. And it's an early warning sign. The problem happens if you ignore that warning sign. Now it's spreading across the face. Then you need to go and see your dermatologist. But honestly, at this point, I always say start cheap. So I would get 2% alpha arbutin from The Ordinary,
Wait,
and I would
wait,
pop it on
pause.
your
I'm writing this
cheeks.
down. Hold on, Dr. Vanita. 2% what now?
2% alpha arbutin,
Alpha who? Alpha
arbutin
arbutin?
from The Ordinary.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a very effective single active product. Pop it on at nighttime and then go in with a fatty moisturizer. Now, with skin of color, we have less ceramides in our skin than Caucasian skin. And so what that means is that our skin gets drier and duller faster. And so we need more fats. We need those juicy fats. And they come in fatty creams, such as CeraVe is a good one. For mine, I use CeraPep moisturizer. So whichever ceramide-based moisturizer without fragrance, that's what I recommend.
Shea butter,
Shea butter is good.
coconut oil.
Okay, hold on. Let's go through each of these ingredients.
Okay.
Shea butter is good in a cream-based format, or is good for the body. I wouldn't necessarily go in with full shea butter on the face, and I wouldn't use coconut oil on the face because it's comedogenic. So if you have oily, acne-prone skin, it's going to clog your pores and it's going to worsen your acne. So everybody's skin is different, and we all need different percentages of different ingredients for our skin. So it's not one moisturizer fits all. Oily, acne-prone skin should be using gel-based moisturizers, not a fatty moisturizer. If you've got dry, normal skin, then go for your fatty moisturizer. And also,
No,
I like fatty moisturizer.
I'm giving her the high five because I have dry skin. I could slather on shea butter and coconut oil, and I'm good. But if you have oily skin,
even more than that,
be a problem.
you're right. That's really good. It basically traps water in the skin, which is what you're trying to do. But what I would probably add to that is use a barrier oil. So maybe go in with your fatty moisturizer and then top it up with your fatty oil. It can be marula oil, squalene oil. Even if you want to go with coconut oil and it doesn't break you out, I'm happy for you to do that. But it's a nice way to seal in water.
Okay. All right. Ashy. That's a thing that we talk about in our community, being ashy. So you want to put that shea butter on your ankles and elbows, y'all. Shea butter on the ankles and elbows, because those are areas that get ashy for us. Do you agree with that, Dr. Vanita?
Yes, but there's something else that's here that's important. there's a couple of things I would want you to do. Number one is exfoliation, chemical exfoliation once a week, not physical exfoliation. You know, for skin of color, if we start rubbing our knees and our elbows, we get friction hyperpigmentation. Have you noticed? If you're on your
Yes.
knees too much and you're like say you're cleaning the floors, or say you're praying and you're on your knees a lot, this doesn't happen to Caucasian skin. This is something that we need to take care of. So friction is not good for us. So chemical exfoliation, not physical exfoliation, number one. Number two, your fatty moisturizer. Yeah, first. Number three, go in with your sealant. Go in with your extra oil, your shea butter, your any other oil that you want to put on top. And I promise you, if you do that without friction, not too much on the knees, within a month, you're going to see a big difference just doing that.
So no more dark elbows and
Yeah.
knees.
And if you want to take it that next step further, pop on that alpha arbutin. Use that alpha arbutin.
Come on, she is doing some things. Dr. Vanita knows what she's talking about. I was testing her, y'all. She's got it. She
I love
wrote
being
Skin
tested.
Revolution. Yeah, I see. And you passed. Okay. So walk us through your 5-year-old skin regimen.
He actually done a TikTok. It's like my favorite TikTok I've done. So in the morning, he washes his face with the micellar gel wash. And then he applies his ceramide moisturizer. And then he wears his SPF 50. So he literally, if you see in our car door, he's washed his face in the morning, but in the car, he puts his moisturizer and his sunscreen on. And then they take their sunscreen to school as well.
I've read somewhere that sunscreen could cause cancer. And
oh dear.
So
no,
did you
the other way
that?
around. Not wearing sunscreen can cause cancer.
There's certain chemicals, there's certain sunscreens. I mean, I get my sunscreen from Whole Foods because I know everything in it is all natural. And I was also told that the coconut oil is a natural sunscreen because of the
God, it's such a mistake.
Is that a mistake?
It's the worst trend going around right now.
Yes.
This coconut oil thing is burning everyone because you don't put. So imagine when you're cooking, how do you heat the pan?
With oil.
With oil.
I don't, because it's bad for you.
Okay. A lot of us use oil. So oil is not going to protect you from the sun. Oil is going to cook the skin. And then these viral trends happen. They go nuts all over TikTok. Millions of people are then oiling their skin and then getting skin cancer. And this is why now you've got this army of doctors on TikTok trying to dispel these myths, which I think we're doing a decent job, but you know, you can't get to everybody. I mean, you know, yesterday I just released a video on YouTube, an Indian lady talking about DIY sunscreen. She was making her own sunscreen in her living room. And in it, she put in milk, and she thought milk would make you white. And then she put in lemon juice, which, by the way, will burn your skin because you're lowering the pH of your skin. And then she got zinc, literally zinc powder, and chucked it in and just mixed it. Now, I actually formulate sunscreens. So sunscreens take 1.5 years of formulating and then testing. You test in vivo, you test in vitro, you test it under UV on the skin. You even have to test it in the packaging. Is it compatible with the packaging? I mean, the testing that goes into sunscreen is another level. I make all products, but sunscreens are hardest to make because of the testing. So when I see this DIY sunscreen, for me, it hurts because I just know how dangerous it is. And that's why I'm clearly quite passionate about this particular subject.
Well, you know, and there is a lot of misinformation. I was on the air when I talked about, you know, the recall of Aveeno products and Neutrogena sunscreen because it contained benzene, which does cause cancer. So now,
contaminant, yeah.
Yeah. So now it makes people scared to take, you know, because it's like, oh, they just recalled all of these. I was using it. Now what? You know, because now if you buy something from CVS, you're like, okay, Neutrogena sounds like a good brand. Aveeno has all of the oatmeal. I used to have eczema, and Aveeno has a lot of products that help with eczema. And you know, it's interesting to me that there's, you know, you could be using Johnson & Johnson baby powder forever, and then it's like, oh, that causes cancer. So for a lot of us, particularly in our community, particularly this community, we're always going to look for a natural solution because we don't trust the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, so there's a lot of mistrust, I think, and I think what can happen is when a bad incident happens, I think sometimes everybody gets tarred with the same brush. And if you actually look at what happened with that benzene issue, it wasn't that the pharmaceuticals were out to get anyone. Obviously, it hurt underlying profit. That wasn't like, no one wants to do that. That hurts your credibility, hurts your brand. Clearly there was a mistake, and it's a contaminant. Not that it was formulated this way. It's almost like, you know, if you say you're cooking in an Indian dish, and in there the ginger comes out and it's too lumpy, and you just know your children are going to spit out the ginger and it's going to taste disgusting, and then your children never trust you again with a chicken curry because that time where they ate the ginger is disgusting. But you know, the mom's not a bad person. The mom just did her best and a mistake happened. So mistakes can happen. I think sometimes we do have to be gracious. These aren't even my brands, and I've never been sponsored by anyone. I never will be sponsored. So I'm coming from a completely non-sponsored angle. Mistakes will happen, but I'd far rather everyone was using something that had been tested, because guess what? That stuff only came up because it was tested, right? You only see where things have gone wrong because it was tested. Whereas there's DIY stuff, number one, so let me explain. In my clinic, I had a lot of, obviously everyone was skin of color, and all I saw was hyperpigmentation. And I would see people watching these natural YouTube videos and say, for example, making DIY masks with apple cider vinegar. And this one girl that came in, I'll never, ever forget. She was getting married. She had never met her husband. She was meant to be flying to Pakistan to get married. A beautiful girl. And the next month, and her face had as if it was been slashed across the face, because she'd used apple cider vinegar, left it on the skin, which has got a low pH of 2 when we should be at a pH of 5, burnt her face. And she, you know what she said? She said, but it's natural, and I left it on for as long as I could. And I said, for skin of color, we can't afford pain. We can't afford to irritate our skin, because your skin will never forgive you. If you did this to Caucasian skin, yes, the skin would burn, but guess what? It would go red, and then it'll go back to being white. You know what happens to us?
Yes, I do, because I scar. I even
we scar.
Keloid. So I know I have to, like when I just had surgery, I'm like, you have to put pressure on that wound and cut me perfectly. And I still had to
get
go
some
to a
steroid injection
surgeon.
in there.
Yeah. I still had to go and get that, just so that the scars would flatten, because exactly. our skin is going to, as you say, we scar, and we scar for life. So I know you're absolutely right when you say that, but it's
so
difficult.
Natural is not always better. Natural because what I would say is we want to look for pH neutral products. Our skin has got a pH of 5. I don't want you using any product that's really less than 3 and more than 7, 8, you know, so 8 is too much.
How do you know, Dr. Vanita, what exactly the pH
so this is
of a, how do you know
exactly? So that's my job. So that is the formulator's job. So we actually have to do pH testing on all our products. But also more than that, my channel is where I basically will tell you the pH of everything and whether it's suitable for our skin or not, because it's not industry standard, Karen, for people to tell you whether it's suitable for skin of color. That's not industry standard. You know, they just expect, you know, everyone to have the same skin and be able to tolerate the same. So do you remember the AHA, BHA, that red vial, you know, that acid in the red vial that went viral all over everywhere? Yeah.
Yes.
That's not great for skin of color, because a lot of us will burn with this and lead to pigmentation. So just because it's a great brand, just because it's an affordable product and other people are doing it, doesn't necessarily mean it's great for us. We have to be really careful with our skin.
Yeah. Which is why, you know, it's important that we have doctors that have skin with melanin and aren't just, you know, I've talked to so many medical professionals. You go to medical school and they teach you the Eurocentric way of doing everything.
Yes.
And so that becomes a due north. And Correct. It's not, you know, even for people of color who are going to school, people who are Black, people who, you know, have melanin, they are indoctrinated in a very a melanemic way of doing things.
Absolutely.
We, you know, like it's like treating, sickle cell. Yes, that's germane to us. So you have to lean into the differences. You can't have a one size fits all mentality as it relates to healthcare, because we are different bodies.
Exactly.
We're different.
Absolutely.
So knowing that.
Honestly, everything you just said, you know, you're absolutely completely correct. So tomorrow, for example, I'm doing the first ever Acne Summit for Skin of Color in the United Kingdom. We have all the journalists coming down. It's a huge event in central London. Taj Hotels, one of the 5-star hotels, have given me the space for free just so that I can put this summit on. And I want to do this in every country, Karen. My aim really is just to educate. It's a free event. I'm paying for everything. And just to make sure that, the information is out there and that there's no excuses. 12 months from now, in every country, my aim was to have done this for all our main conditions. So we just have better access to healthcare and skincare.
Y'all can go to Skincare by Dr. V, drv.com. Skincare by drv.com. I'm loving you. But when I first, I'm very picky about who we bring on because, again, there is, and I don't care where you come from, but you have to care about us. Like that you're not Black, that's fine, long as you care about us. And I feel like too many doctors care about themselves, because it's good money. It's good money, but not at our expense. And to your point, we are marketed in such a way that, a mistake can cost us our lives. I'd rather not file a lawsuit for somebody's mistake. I'd rather take my health into my own hands, and we empower our audience to advocate for themselves. So I'm going to ask you, besides going to Skincare by drv.com, is there for people with oily or dry skin a home natural way of dealing with their skin without having to buy products that are in the stores?
So my favorite DIY, I do have a list of, I'm not a hater of natural, but I'm going to tell you my favorite ones that are pH skin neutral, that are not going to burn your skin, and they're going to be safe for your skin. But I'm also going to tell you the bad ones, because I normally don't say the negatives, but I think it's important because people might mix it by accident and, leads to problems. So first, I'm going to start with the things to avoid. Avoid whole grains because then it forms a physical scrub that leads to micro tears in our skin, and it leads to hyperpigmentation over a long period of time. Immediately you see a brightening effect, and so people become addicted to it, but it can damage your skin over a long period.
This is for exfoliation, avoid whole grains.
Physical exfoliation.
So what's that?
Avoid
oatmeal,
physical.
Oats.
People use whole grains. They use barley. They use wheat. They use even in Indian. Even for Indians, they use whole grains but it's like shards. It's very
painful. It's like glass. You're scratching. Yeah. Okay, so no, if you're exfoliating, no whole grains.
No whole grains, please. Number 2 is avoid lemon juice. It's a popular one, but it's got a pH of 2 and can burn your skin. Just completely avoid it. Our skin can't tolerate it. Number 3 is bicarbonate of soda. That's got a high pH. It's caustic. It's alkali. It will burn us.
Baking soda, no baking soda,
no soda, no baking soda, bicarbonate of soda. Next one is apple cider vinegar, which I've discussed already. It's a huge favorite, but it's just an absolute disaster for our skin. The next one is garlic. I've seen garlic burns. I had one lady come in trying to treat her pigmentation with garlic, and then left a massive burn because it's alkali. So again, it's not pH neutral for our skin. So avoid all of those. And then the last one is eggs. And the reason is salmonella, because if we have broken skin and then we have an infection, that's going to lead to problems for us.
Thank you. So I'm gonna confess, I tried a home deodorant because it's pandemic, so I'm trying different things. I used I read tea tree oil kills bacteria, and I was like, okay, so your underarms are smelly when you're working out because of bacteria. So I'm gonna buy like the purest tea tree oil, put it in a spray bottle, and spray it under my arms. Lord have mercy, Dr. Vanita. Look, child, it took about 2 weeks. The burn, it was so bad. It was so bad. I wish I had known you then. It was so bad. I was this close to going to urgent care because it was so bad.
Yeah.
What did I do? Tell me what I did to myself. And I'm never doing it again. You don't have to worry.
No, never do it again. I hate tea tree oil for our skin, and it's in a lot of products. You're going to see a lot of acne products with tea tree oil in it. Again, it's not for our skin. This is why we have to empower ourselves, because things are available in CVS and in Target and in Boots that you just think, well, it's on the shelf, so it must be for us. It's not. We have different ingredients that are okay for us. Natural deodorants, I really dislike. Oh my God, so many people with skin of color have burnt with natural deodorants because the second ingredient tends to be bicarbonate of soda. So if you look at the ingredients list, bicarbonate of soda tends to be the second ingredient. But the problem is, when you look at the ingredients list, the highest percentage ingredients are at the top of the list. So now you're looking at a high percentage of an ingredient that is alkali, and that will lead to a burn. And then on top of that, they load it with fragrance. I hate fragrance for skin of color because it leads to contact dermatitis in 3 to 4% of the population. And for Caucasian skin, that's fine. But actually, if you have skin of color, what does that mean? That means a rash, which then leads to hyperpigmentation, which for us can last years, Karen. It's not like, hyperpigmentation is not just a small thing. You can have it for decades. It can affect your confidence for decades. So this is why we have to really take care of our skin. So let me tell you answer your question, your favorite ones. My favorite ones would be yogurt. I like yogurt. It's soothing.
Yogurt.
There's a little bit of lactic acid in there. It's not that effective.
So pure yogurt, Greek yogurt, no vanilla,
Greek yogurt,
peach.
Pure yogurt.
It's not the Chobani with the peach. Don't do that. Just regular yogurt.
I would say eat the Fage yogurt. Eat the Greek yogurt. Is good for your skin that way. Go for the cheaper yogurt for the face.
Okay. Cheap, good Greek yogurt for the face. Okay. What else?
I like cooling cucumbers that have been in the fridge for around the eye area. I like, what else do I like for this? Turmeric is quite good. Asians, we do a turmeric mask with yogurt. That's quite nice for your skin. We do it before we get married. What other? I love aloe gel. Aloe gel is soothing for
that's what skin. I had to get for the burns. I had to go get aloe.
You had to get
for
that.
My tea tree.
Next time, burns. Karen, you just give me a call and I'll send you exactly what you need.
I didn't know you, Dr. Vanita, till today. This is amazing.
You know me now.
Yes, I got you. Aloe is amazing. And those people who live in places, I'm about to grow aloe in my house. That's how important I think aloe is. I'm about to have like a room of aloe because I'm extra.
Yeah, I'm happy with you to do that. Very happy.
All right. And is that those are the do's?
The other one I love is oat. Hollowed oats are great for eczema. And if you want to give your baby a bath in hollowed oats, that's also good for healing the skin. So those would be my favorites.
As I mentioned at the top, the skin is the biggest organ. We're talking with Dr. Vanita. Her book is Skin Revolution. My eczema when I was, and I'm not claiming it, eczema was a problem for me when early on my diet was bad. Then I cleaned up my diet and then stress. All right. So I'm managing stress. So I know if I start itching, it's stress. It's not my diet because there's no sugar in my diet. There's no, fats. I don't eat, things that would trigger eczema. So how much of it is internal as far as our skin health?
Yeah. I think stress is a massive problem for us because it makes every condition worse. You talked about eczema, it ages the skin. Like, look at poor Barack Obama. Look what stress did to that beautiful man. Stress is the enemy when it comes to your skin. You age rapidly. I would say, first is UV radiation is our enemy. The second enemy is stress. It will make your psoriasis worse. It will make your eczema worse. It will make your acne worse. It will make your hyperpigmentation worse. It will make every condition you have worse if you have an underlying condition already.
Right. And eczema is autoimmune. So I also learned that autoimmune, they come like, if you don't deal with one, you're going to get the next and the next and the next. So then I had discoid lupus. So I'm like, I got to get this into control, which I did.
Yeah.
But you have to know your body. So we need to do, and I should have brought up dairy too. Dairy also, makes the eczema bad. But doctors don't tell you that. They give you a steroid cream to put on instead of saying, hey, what are you eating? All right, clear out your diet. Here's some yoga and some meditation. Pray to God and come back to me in 3 months and let's see how your eczema is. They don't prescribe that. Why don't they? Yeah,
you're right. In fact, even in the acne lecture I'm doing tomorrow, we actually have a whole segment on lifestyle and food because it is important. You're absolutely right. I'm going to send you the link. Once it's done, then hopefully that will, we just need to teach on this, but you're absolutely right.
I'll definitely post that. You talked about UVA for aging. Now, what I know about Black folk is black don't crack, Dr. Vanita.
Yeah, we do love it. I mean, you're very blessed. We know that. Stop gloating.
I mean, listen, 400 years of oppression, the least we could do is not look like 400 years of oppression. At least y'all can do all of the things. At least we can get some no wrinkles. At least we
You
don't,
get to
that should
100
be
like
something.
looking like you're
Yes,
30 is very
yes.
annoying. And honestly, I'm Asian and we we crack, so it's really annoying.
No. Asians y'all got a good 70 years, and then you fall off the cliff. Like you get all of those 70 years in like 1 year. After 70, it's like boom, downhill. But up to 70,
That's
y'all
too
good.
funny.
And
You
then
think it's
it's off.
70? You think we got? I don't think so. I think maybe
All right.
50.
Chinese, okay, maybe it's different for Indian Asians, but I know there's a point, there's a tipping point, and then it's like all downhill.
It's
Whereas
usually it's actually for us as menopause. It's those first
okay,
5 years after menopause, we lose 30% collagen, right? All of us.
all
But
of
that
us.
affects some people more than others.
Okay,
And that really
so
affects Asians. Yeah.
there are some melanemic people listening right now. When you talk about aging the skin, there are telomeres that age your body. So what in our skin should we be paying attention to?
Right.
Like I'm not worried
Yeah.
about wrinkles, and there's always Botox. Like I'm never gonna be afraid to go get some Botox if
Me
if
too.
I
Yeah.
see
I'm
yeah,
with you there.
let's go get the Botox. And if you got migraines, you're welcome. You're welcome, right? Like we can prevent some of that, right? What
Yeah.
else should we be
Absolutely.
considering with the crow's
For
feet and
me,
the
it's
laugh lines?
for UVA rays. We say aging as almost like encompassing cancer as well. So
Okay.
it goes deeper into the skin and affects your DNA. I'm more worried about cancer than aging. It's just an easy way for people to remember UVA aging, UVB burning. It's just easy, just to remember it that way. But when I'm talking about UVA is the most damaging of all the UV spectrum and penetrates deeper. And that's what I'm worried about. Is it affecting your DNA and leading to cancer?
Okay. Cancer. I have a business partner who is constantly getting scraped and showing up with bandages on his face. And because he walks Central Park with no hat on, and he's bald, and he has no melanin. And so I'm like, yeah, put your hat on, dude, and here's some SPF for you. You have to wear it. For us, as you mentioned, black skin, brown skin has to still have sunscreen. Is that the only way we can protect ourselves against skin
No,
cancer?
multiple ways. So that wouldn't even. So for me, I'm prone to melasma, so I do get
Okay.
that hyperpigmentation. So for me, I actually created anti-melasma sunglasses just for my own face. When you're a skin doctor, you become a little bit obsessed with your own issues. So I went to, there's a long story, but anyway, I went and made myself my own pair of anti-melasma, the world's biggest sunglasses. I didn't think anyone would ever want to wear them, like they're just so over the top. But lo and behold, all my followers said, Dr. V, we want those glasses. So I started producing these sunglasses, and they kept
I
selling
see
out.
them
And
on your website,
I'll
and they
send you
could
them.
actually, girl, they're $221. Is it worth it?
They are expensive.
God.
They are handmade. I'm selling it, and I'm telling you, they're handmade. They are heavy. They, doesn't suit every face. There's a lot that is to be designed. I mean, they're the world's biggest sunglasses, right? I'm telling you, like, really think 10 times before you buy these sunglasses.
Okay.
But if melasma is something that's really bothering you, and you just need that extra protection, and you just need to know that you have stopped UV from hitting this, making it worse, then it's worth it for you. So someone like me, who really is quite careful with their skin, I will do everything in my power to protect my skin. So it's just like mentally where you're at, how important is this to you?